Chapter numbering can be a hard concept to understand. For most documents, you don't need to be concerned with chapter numbering. In some cases, however, you may want to make it easier for reviewers to be able to refer to specific portions of a document more easily. Chapter numbering is designed for this purpose. And chapter numbering isn't limited to numbering chapters. By default, LibreOffice Writer associates all 10 heading paragraph styles with the 10 levels in the chapter numbering dialog. For this reason, newer versions of LibreOffice Writer will be calling this heading numbering. If your version uses heading numbering, just substitute that term whenever you hear me say chapter numbering in this video. The names of some other features may be slightly changed as well. I have a blank document open. I'll begin by going to Tools, Chapter Numbering, so you can see what the chapter numbering dialog looks like. This dialog has two tabs. Let's begin by looking at the Numbering tab. On the left is a list of 10 levels. Selecting one of these levels allows you to set attributes for that level. At the bottom of the level area is a listing of 1 through 10. Selecting this listing allows you to set similar attributes for all levels at one time. I'll select Level 1. The paragraph style setting is set to Heading 1. If you look in the preview area, you will see that each numbered level is set to the corresponding heading paragraph style by default. I'll click the down arrow at the right of the paragraph style drop-down box. As you can see, you can select other paragraph styles to replace the default setting. For now, I'll leave the default setting. Number is currently set to none. I'll click the down arrow for this drop-down box. You can see the wide variety of choices offered, both numbers and letters. You can set different number settings for different levels. For example, you could use the capital Roman numerals for level 1 and the capital ABC choice for level 2. For this video, I'll use 1, 2, 3 for all levels. The Start At setting allows you to start numbering at any number. You would generally want to leave this set to 1. This would start a numbered choice at 1, or a lettered choice at A. The Character Style setting allows you to choose a character style to use for the number of the level. You would generally want all numbers to use the same character style. Show Sublevels is grayed out for level 1 since this is not a sublevel. In the separator area, you can type something to appear before each number or something to appear after each number. Since I want most of the settings to be the same for all levels, I'll select 1 through 10 in the level area. I'll set the number to 1, 2, 3. In the box beside after, I'll type a period and a space. Notice that the numbers have been added in the preview area. I'll go to level 1. For number, 1, 2, 3 has been added. Notice that Show Sublevels is no longer grayed out for level 1 and a 1 has been added there. In the box beside after, a period is shown. If I place the cursor in the box, you can see that there is also a space after the period. I'll leave those settings as they are. I'll go to level 2. The settings are the same for this level, except Show Sublevels displays a 2. I'll go to level 3. The settings are the same except Show Sublevels displays a 3. I'll only be using 3 levels, so I'll go to the Position tab. In this tab, the default settings are the same for all levels. Number alignment is set to left. This means that the chapter number will appear to the left of the Aligned At setting. The Aligned At is set to 0, so the chapter number will appear at the left margin of the document page. The default setting for numbered followed by is tab stop. This means that the text following the chapter number will start at the first tab stop after the chapter number itself. If you do not set a position for tab stop at, the default tab stop for LibreOffice Writer will be used. Indent at is used to set a position for the start of the next line of text if the text of the paragraph style used for this level takes up more than one line. Since I'm just using heading paragraph styles, I'll leave this set as 0. In the level area, I'll select 1 through 10. I'll set tab stop at to 0.50 inches. I'll click OK to accept the settings and close the dialog. I'll make sure the cursor is at the beginning of the document. In the paragraph styles deck of the sidebar, I'll double-click on heading 1 to select it. A number 1 appears at the left margin of the document, followed by a period. I'll type heading 1. The text starts at 0.5 inches from the left margin. I'll hit Enter. The cursor goes to the left margin, and the text body paragraph style is highlighted in the sidebar. I'll right-click on the heading 1 paragraph style in the sidebar. I'll select Modify to show you why this happened. I'll go to the Organizer tab. Notice that Next Style is set to Text Body. That is because a heading is normally followed by regular body text. While in this dialog, I'll go to the Indents and Spacing tab. Notice that all of the settings in the indent area are set to 0. That is what you want when working with chapter numbering. If these settings are set to something else, or if they have ever been set to something else and reset to 0 manually, you will probably have problems when working with chapter numbering. The solution is to click the Reset to Parent button at the bottom of the tab. You may need to re-enter settings in areas other than the indent area on this tab. The Reset to Parent button only affects the current tab in the dialog. I'll go to the Outline and List tab. Notice that Outline level is set to level 1 and List style is set to chapter numbering. These settings cannot be changed due to the settings in the chapter numbering dialog. I'll click Cancel to close this dialog. The dialogs for Heading 2 and Heading 3 have similar settings except for the setting of Outline level. These read Level 2 and Level 3 respectively. I'll type some text in the document and hit Enter. I'll double-click on Heading 2 in the sidebar to select it. Chapter number 1 period 1 period appears at the left margin. I'll type Heading 2 and hit Enter. The cursor moves to the left margin and text body is highlighted in the sidebar. I'll type some text and hit Enter. I'll double-click on Heading 3 in the sidebar to select it. Chapter number 1 period 1 period 1 period appears at the left margin. I'll type Heading 3 and hit Enter. The cursor moves to the left margin and text body is highlighted in the sidebar. I'll type some text. This is a very basic styling for chapter numbering. Now, let's see what the basic title of contents looks like when working with chapter numbering. I'll place the cursor before the text of the first heading, not before the chapter number. I'll hit Enter. Everything moves down a line. A chapter number 1 period appears and the first number of everything below becomes a 2. I'll move the cursor to the line above. Heading 1 is highlighted in the sidebar. I'll hit backspace to remove this number. The first number of all the headings becomes a 1 again. I'll go to Insert, Table of Contents and Index, Table of Contents, Index, or Bibliography. The Table of Contents, Index, or Bibliography dialog opens. I'll just click OK to accept the default settings and close the dialog. Notice that the chapter number appears before each heading. Each level of heading is indented to make the level of the heading more obvious. There is nothing wrong with this basic design, but you can do a lot to customize the look. I'll go to a document with basically the same settings and a little more text. I've placed the table of contents on a separate page with a separate page style. I set the left and right margins of this page to 2 inches, so the distance between the heading text and the page numbers isn't as great. I'll scroll down to the first page with body text. I'll zoom in for a closer look. I've also added numbers to each paragraph of the text beneath the individual headings. Let me show you how I did that. I'll place the cursor in the first paragraph underneath the first heading. I didn't change the text body paragraph style. Doing so would change other paragraph styles that are descended from it. Instead, I created a new paragraph style named Text H1. Since all of the paragraphs are against the left margin, I could use this same paragraph style for all levels of headings. The settings in the Text H1 paragraph style dialog are basically the same as those in the text body paragraph style dialog. But let me show you what I did to get the numbers. I'll go to Tools, Chapter Numbering. I'll go to the Numbering tab and make sure Level 10 is selected. Notice that paragraph style is set to Text H1. When I created the Text H1 paragraph style, it was automatically added to the list in the drop-down menu so I could choose it. In the preview area, Text H1 has replaced Heading 10. The other change I made in this tab is in the Show Sublevels. This had displayed 10, but I changed it to 1 to eliminate all the unnecessary preceding numbers and make the text more readable. By assigning this new paragraph style to page numbering, the numbers before the paragraphs are automatically numbered and begin with 1 under each new heading. I'll go to the Position tab. I changed the Numbering Followed By setting from tab to space for all levels. I'll click Cancel to close this dialog. Let's take a look at the table of contents. Notice that this new chapter numbering level 10 does not appear in the table of contents. I would not want all the paragraph text in the table of contents. How did I keep the text paragraphs from appearing in the table of contents? I'll right-click on Table of Contents and select Edit Index. I'll go to the Type tab. In the Create From area, I deselected Outline and selected Additional Styles. Then I clicked on Assign Styles. In the dialog that appears, radio buttons appear in columns under a series of numbers indicating the tab positions of the table of contents. For Text H1, I selected the radio button under 0 so it would not appear in the table of contents. For Heading 1, I selected the radio button under 1 so it would appear at the left margin of the table of contents. For Heading 2, I selected the radio button under 2 so it would appear at the next tab stop. For heading 3, I selected the radio button under 3 so it would be indented a little more. By the way, you can assign more than one paragraph style to appear in any tab position. I'll click Cancel to close this dialog. I'll click Cancel to close the other dialog. I'll click Print Preview so you can see 2 pages side by side. I think this is a bit of an improvement over the basic look of chapter numbering. I'll close Print Preview. I'll go to another document to show you another design. This document adds a couple of changes to the other design. I'll scroll down to the first page of body text. I changed the left page margin of the default page style to 2 inches. To keep the centered page number in the footer from looking strange, I moved it to the right margin. I'll go to Tools, Chapter Numbering, to show you the other big change. I'll go to the Position tab. I changed the numbering alignment from left to right to place the chapter numbers outside the left margin. I'll click Cancel to close this dialog. I'll go to Print Preview so you can get a better idea of the overall design. Placing the chapter numbers in the left margin rather than in the text area makes the numbers stand out more and makes them easier to find. I'll close Print Preview. I'll go to another document to show you one last design. I'll go directly to Print Preview to show you the overall design. This design has a separate document title page. I'll zoom in a little so you can get a closer look at the table of contents. The chapter headings were styled through a combination of the Contents 1 paragraph style and the tab setting in the Entries tab of the Table of Contents, Index, or Bibliography dialog. I explain such styling in more detail in other videos and lessons focusing on the Table of Contents. I'll close Print Preview. I'll scroll down to the first page of body text. I'll place the cursor in the chapter heading. Heading 1 is highlighted in the sidebar. I use the Heading 1 paragraph style to set the font size and color, as well as giving it an alignment of center. I'll go to Tools, Chapter Numbering, to show you how I use chapter numbering to style the chapter titles in this document. I'll go to the Numbering tab. With Level 1 selected, number is set to 1, 2, 3. This allows chapter numbers to be automatically incremented. The paragraph style is set to Heading 1. Character style is set to None, so the numbers of the chapter titles are not read like the other levels of chapter numbering. Show Sublevels is set to 1. In the box beside before, I typed chapter and a space, so these would appear before the actual number. I'll go to the Position tab. The most important setting in this tab is the Aligned At setting of 0. Now I'll go back to the Numbering tab and select Level 2. Character style is set to Heading Number. This is a style I created in the Chapter Styles area of the sidebar. It is the style that makes the chapter number appear red and bold to set the chapter number off even more from the text of the document. The other important setting is Show Sublevels. I set this to 1 because Level 2 is being used for the major heading in the document. I set Show Sublevels for Level 3 to 2 because it is used for the first sublevel in the document. I set Show Sublevels for level 4 to 3 because that is used as the second sublevel in the document. I'll go to the Position tab. I set the numbering alignment to left for levels 2, 3, and 4. I set the same measurement for aligned at and indent at for each of these levels, so all but the first line of text would line up beneath the number for each level. The aligned at and indent at settings for level 2 were easy to determine since this level is set at the left margin. I'll go to level 3. I had to experiment to find the setting that would line up level 3 under the text of level 2. I also had to experiment to find the setting that would line up level 4 under the text of level 3. These settings work well as long as each level has less than 10 entries. The page design would fall apart if any level but the last had 10 entries or more. I'll hit Cancel to close the dialog. In this video, I've shown how you are not limited to the basic chapter numbering and table of contents entries when using chapter numbering in LibreOffice Writer. You may need to watch the video again, stopping often to really grasp how each setting in each dialog affected the final result. It may take some time to create a couple of styles and adjust some settings in a few dialogues, but taking this time will save you a lot of time when composing and editing your document. You can also save all your styles and chapter numbering settings to a custom template. You can then produce similar documents without the need to reproduce all the steps to make the custom styles and dialog settings. I discuss how to set up custom templates in other videos and courses. Click More in the gray area beneath this video to find links to my other videos and courses.